The summer sun beat down on Lake Serenity, turning the water into a million glittering diamonds. 15-year-old Liam, bored of fishing and tired of his book, decided to explore the rocky outcrop near their old wooden dock. A place his dad always warned him about because of the slippery algae. His worn sneakers skidded as he navigated the wet stones, the cool lake water lapping at his ankles. That's when he saw it. Wedged deep in a crevice, half submerged, was a rock unlike any other. It wasn't gray or brown like the local granite. It was obsidian, a deep, fathomless black. Yet it pulsed with an inner warmth Liam felt more than saw. Veins of shimmering, iridescent blue, like captured starlight or molten sapphire, threaded through its surface. It was smooth, perfectly oval, and unnervingly heavy for its size when Liam finally pried it loose. A jolt, not electric, but pure, vibrant energy, shot up his arm the moment his fingers closed around it. It wasn't painful, just intensely alive. He gasped, nearly dropping it. The rock felt warm, almost comforting. He pocketed it, a strange treasure, and carefully scrambled back to the dock. The strange energy thrumming softly against his leg. That night, the first change happened. He tripped over a loose floorboard on the cabin stairs, crashing shoulder first into the solid oak newel post with a sickening thud. He braced for the bruising pain, the scrape, the yell. But it never came! He simply bounced off, landing on his feet as if he'd stepped off a curb. The post hadn't even scratched the paint. He stared, bewildered, rubbing his shoulder where there should have been agony, but felt only a faint, warm tingle. The next morning confirmed it wasn't a fluke. Helping his dad chop firewood, the heavy axe slipped, the blunt backside slamming directly onto his bare toes. Liam yelped, hopping back, only to realize there was no pain, no swelling, not even a red mark. His toes felt perfectly fine. His dad, wide-eyed, stammered, "Liam, are you okay? That should have broken something." I guess I got lucky?" Liam mumbled, his mind racing back to the black rock, now hidden under his pillow, still radiating that subtle warmth. Curiosity became an obsession. Alone by the lake, he tested his limits. He slammed his fist into a thick pine tree. Thump. The bark cracked. His knuckles didn't flinch. He jumped off the 10-foot roof of the boathouse, landing flat-footed on packed earth. The impact shuddered through him, rattling his teeth, but his legs held strong, absorbing the force effortlessly. He held his hand over a lit match. The flame licked his skin harmlessly, leaving only a tickling sensation. He was indestructible. The initial rush was pure exhilaration. He felt like a god walking among fragile mortals. He rescued a neighbor's kitten stuck impossibly high in a thorny tree. Ignoring the branches tearing at his clothes and skin, which healed instantly, he stopped a runaway ATV by stepping directly into its path, letting it crumple against his immovable legs while the terrified driver walked away shaken but unharmed. News of the miracle boy of Lake Serenity started as local gossip, then whispers, then cautious news reports. But the invincibility began to weave a cage. Playful wrestling with his old friend, Mark, ended abruptly when Liam accidentally shoved him a little too hard, sending Mark sprawling with a bruised elbow. Liam's apology felt hollow. He couldn't truly feel the potential damage he could cause. He watched his dad struggle to open a rusted bolt on the boat motor, his knuckles white with effort, while Liam knew he could twist it off like a soda cap. But revealing that strength felt dangerous, alienating. The worst was the disconnect. He stood under a pounding summer shower, but the water felt distant, muffled. He hugged his mom goodbye when she dropped him off for a solo week at the lake house. But her warmth barely registered through the strange, impervious barrier his skin had become. He craved the sting of cold lake water, the ache of tired muscles after a long swim, the comforting warmth of hot chocolate scalding his tongue. He craved sensation, the proof of being alive. Vulnerable, human. One evening, drawn back to the rocky outcrop where it all began, Liam pulled the obsidian stone from his pocket. It pulsed warmly, the blue veins glowing faintly in the twilight. It was beautiful, powerful, a source of unimaginable ability. But holding it, He realized the power hadn't just made him strong. It had made him other. It had walled him off from the very world he wanted to be part of. The stories of heroes were filled with battles and glory. No one talked about the quiet horror of not feeling your mother's touch, or the fear of accidentally hurting someone you loved because you couldn't gauge your own strength. No one mentioned the loneliness of being a rock in a world of reeds. With a deep breath that felt strangely shallow in his invincible chest, Liam knelt at the water's edge. He looked at the stone, its inner light reflecting in his eyes. "This isn't strength," he whispered to the lapping water. "Not the kind I need." He drew his arm back and threw the stone with all his might. Not the superhuman strength it granted, but the desperate strength of his own human will. The obsidian oval, shimmering with captured starlight, sailed through the twilight air and plunged into the deepest, darkest part of Lake Serenity with barely a ripple. The effect was instantaneous. The constant, low-level hum of energy he hadn't even fully registered vanished. A wave of profound sensation washed over him. The cool, evening air prickled his skin. The rough granite beneath his knees scraped slightly. The lingering smell of pine needles was suddenly sharp and clear. He felt present. Slowly, deliberately, he pressed his thumb against a sharp edge of the rock he was kneeling on. A bright spark of pain flared, followed by a tiny bead of crimson blood welling up. Liam stared at it, a slow, genuine smile spreading across his face. It stung. It was messy. It was real. He sucked a small cut, tasting copper and earth, feeling the delicate vulnerability of his own flesh. Standing up, he felt the familiar, pleasant ache in his legs from the day's activities. An ache he'd missed terribly. He looked out at the dark water where the stone lay hidden. He was no longer indestructible. He was just Liam again. And as he walked back towards the warm, welcoming lights of the lake house, the slight scrape on his knee and the throb in his muscles felt like the most precious gifts in the world. He was breakable and finally, wonderfully alive.